Leo, let me be straight with you. This Wednesday the 19th will shake something deep inside you. Not next week, not next month. It's this week. And it's big. You're not here by accident. You didn't just stumble into this video because of a catchy title or a passing moment of curiosity. Something, call it fate, your guides, or your own higher self nudged you here for a reason. And if you've been feeling like something in your life is about to shift but you can't quite name what it is, this may be the moment you've been sensing all along. I need you to listen closely. A new energy is coming straight toward you, and it's moving fast. I'm not here to sugarcoat things or wrap them in vague metaphors. This isn't fluff. This is a moment of spiritual urgency, and it's happening for you. Right now. On the 19th, something will be revealed, a piece of information, a truth, a moment of clarity that has the power to reroute your entire direction. Whether it's a message from someone you haven't heard from in ages, an unexpected opportunity, or a hidden truth finally coming to light, it will hit you like a pulse. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. But here's the thing, this isn't about fear. It's about readiness. If you're still clinging to what feels familiar, if you're trying to stay in control of how things should be, this energy might feel like it's pulling the rug out from under you. But if you're open, really open, it'll feel like someone finally turned the lights on. You'll finally understand why things have felt so off lately, and more importantly, what you're meant to do next. Leo, you are not built to hide. You're not meant to shrink down or blend in. You were born to lead, to ignite, to command space without asking for permission. And this turning point? This is your wake-up call to stop waiting for clarity and start becoming it. Let me pause for a second and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking on this video when your day could have taken you anywhere else. Every single comment you leave, every time you like or subscribe, it's not just an action. It's energy. It's a statement to the universe that you're ready for more. And here, at Eternal Mindfulness, this community is built on people like you, people who want more than predictions. People who are ready for alignment. For truth. For growth. So if any part of you is feeling this, if your heart is beating just a little faster, if something inside is saying, this is for me, I want you to pause and say it out loud, or better yet, write it in the comments. I am ready for the truth on the 19th. I choose myself. No more delays. That simple act of writing it down will send out a frequency. And trust me, that frequency matters. Don't rush off. You're going to want to hear what's coming next, because what the universe is about to show you, it's not just a twist in the road. It's a doorway into the version of you you've always known you could become. So take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. You've already said yes just by showing up. Now let's walk through this together. You may have brushed it off at first, those strange bursts of heat in your chest, the sudden chills even when the room was still. The nights that feel too long, sleep that's lighter than usual, dreams that linger like smoke in the morning. Maybe you've even caught yourself waking up at the same exact hour 2 or 3 nights in a row, or hearing your name whispered in the silence. That isn't your imagination. It's your nervous system tuning into a frequency it hasn't touched in years. What's happening now isn't random. It's energetic, it's cellular, and it's deeply personal. The sky doesn't lie. Uranus, the planet of disruption, awakening, and deep truth, is forming a powerful trine to your Leo Sunday. This is no soft breeze. This is cosmic electricity. Trines don't arrive to destroy, they arrive to activate. And when Uranus and the Sun hold hands, it's like someone turns the key on a dormant part of your soul you've been too busy, too tired, or too afraid to reach. Pair that with Jupiter's current placement, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and higher vision, and we're looking at a moment where spiritual clarity hits like a lightning strike. And yes, that means some of the structures in your life may shake. But not to fall apart. To fall into place. What you're feeling in your body right now, these fluctuations, this restlessness, this subtle knowing that something is about to arrive, are signs that your energy field is already in motion. You're not imagining the shift. You are the shift. And your body, loyal as ever, is ringing the alarm for your mind and heart to catch up. Think of it like this: your life has been running on an old operating system. A system you learned to survive with. You taught yourself how to keep people comfortable, how to keep things predictable, how to dim down when your light was just too much for the room. But you didn't come here to be manageable. You came here to be whole. And now, as this trine opens a portal of release, that old system is being gently overwritten. Not through chaos, but through an invitation. An invitation to evolve. That's what the 19th represents, not a single moment of change, but a line you'll cross and never uncross. When scripture says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind," this is what it means. Not blind optimism, not denying your pain, but allowing divine timing to carry you into a new frequency, one decision at a time. Faith, in its truest form, is not knowing the outcome, but choosing to move forward anyway. I've seen this before in clients, in friends, even in myself. When these signs show up, they are sacred. They ask you to pause and listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. They ask you to stop blaming your burnout on bad luck and start realizing, your soul is growing beyond the life you settled for. So if your body's been speaking in symbols, if your energy feels like it's standing on the edge of something unnamed, believe it. That inner tremble? That's not anxiety. That's your truth trying to get your attention. And here's the invitation: don't run from the discomfort. Lean in. Let the tension teach you what's no longer aligned. Let the silence show you what wants to be born. And most of all, let the 19th come without resistance. Because the version of you that steps through it is already waiting. You've probably heard people say, "It's just another Wednesday." But if you're really listening, really tuned in, you know that this Wednesday the 19th isn't just another day on the calendar. There's something about it. It holds a charge. Like a quiet breath before lightning strikes. Like the moment before you realize the truth that changes everything. We don't always see these moments coming. Sometimes they show up looking like a simple message. A text from someone you thought had disappeared from your life for good. But this time, they bring a truth you weren't prepared to face. Or maybe it's an email with an offer so unexpected, so far outside what you thought was your lane, that it makes you question the limits you've placed on your own potential. Other times, it's quieter. A conversation that seems casual but lingers in your chest for days. A phrase that echoes louder than it should. A flicker of recognition in someone's eyes that makes you wonder if this isn't just coincidence but alignment. Whatever form it takes, something on the 19th is designed to get your attention. And once it does, it's not going to let go. Not until you look honestly at what it's trying to show you. Energetically, this is a rupture point. A crack in the structure you've built around yourself. The cards are clear: the Tower, Judgment, and the Ace of Swords. Together, they're not predicting disaster, they're revealing release. Yes, it may feel like a shake-up. Like the rug is being pulled out from under you. But what's falling is what no longer serves you. What's collapsing is what's kept you stuck. Judgment calls you to witness it clearly. To recognize the parts of your life that need resolution, not more delay. And the Ace of Swords? That's the truth cutting through illusion. The kind of truth you don't just hear, you feel it in your bones. And here's the deeper layer. In numerology, 19 breaks down to 10, which collapses again to 1. That's full circle. An ending that demands a beginning. It doesn't get more symbolic than that. It's a spiritual reboot. And it doesn't ask for permission. There's a choice here, whether you recognize it or not. You can resist it. You can tell yourself this is just another week, that nothing is happening, that things are fine the way they are. But that resistance? It creates friction. And friction creates pain. Or you can lean in. You can let go of the need to control the shape of the shift and instead allow it to lift you. Because that's what this really is, a lift. A wind beneath the version of you that has been quietly waiting for a chance to fly. So if you feel that vibration in your chest, that nervous flutter, that urge to make sense of something you can't name and ignore it, don't talk yourself out of it. Trust that the energy showing up in your life right now is showing up for a reason. And it won't always knock politely. Sometimes, it shouts. Sometimes, it breaks down the door because you've ignored too many soft knocks. This isn't punishment. It's alignment. It's the universe offering you a chance to stop pretending you don't know what you already know. And if your first reaction is to tighten up, to brace for impact, to hold on to the version of your life that feels safest, just breathe. Because what you're holding on to may be the very thing keeping you from what's next. You weren't meant to stay the same. You were meant to evolve. And this week, life is reminding you of that loudly, unapologetically, and in its own divine timing. There's something about the image of a white lion that doesn't just strike the eye, it hits the soul. Not because it's majestic or rare, but because it mirrors back a version of you that's been buried under years of compromise, of shrinking, of pretending you don't know how powerful you really are. When I tuned into your energy, what appeared wasn't just a vision. It felt like a memory. A soul memory. The lion wasn't roaring. It wasn't fighting. It was still. Present. And the way it leaned forward, pressing its forehead gently to yours, was not a gesture of domination but of transfer. A silent passing of strength, as if to say, you already carry this. I'm just here to remind you. This isn't mythology. It's energy. And what you're remembering now is not some far-off destiny, it's the essence of who you've always been beneath the layers of performing, pleasing, and proving. This is the soul-level version of you that doesn't need permission to shine. That doesn't need a title to lead. That no longer waits to be chosen, because it remembers, I was sent here to choose myself. You may have grown up learning to read the room before you spoke, to tone yourself down in the presence of others who couldn't handle your light, to be easy to be around. That survival instinct got you here. but it won't carry you where you're going next. The energy moving through your field right now is not gentle because it's not meant to be. It's meant to strip the mask. To clear what's dulled your instincts. To tear down the walls you built to protect yourself that are now just keeping you from breathing fully. And the truth is, many of the places you've outgrown have taught you to stay out of guilt. To keep quiet, to keep the peace. But the peace that asks you to abandon yourself isn't peace. It's exhaustion with good branding. This is your wake-up moment, not in the dramatic, movie script kind of way, but in the quiet choices you'll make when no one is watching. The moment you finally delete that number, not because you're angry, but because the connection doesn't reflect your worth. The moment you walk out of that room knowing you didn't betray your voice. The moment you finally let yourself want more and don't apologize for it. And if you need something to anchor this shift, do this. Take a moment before the 19th, maybe the night of the 18th, light a white candle, and write down 3 places in your life where you still feel like you're performing. Where you dim your fire to make others more comfortable. Write them honestly. Without judgment. Then burn the list. Not out of spite. But as a signal to your soul, I'm done pretending I don't know who I am. This is not about cutting ties in anger. It's about clearing space for truth. For relationships that don't require shape-shifting. For environments that don't disconnect you from your heart. For a life that doesn't feel like a performance, but a homecoming. You're not here to carry everyone else's discomfort. You're here to remember who you are and to live from that place without flinching. Let the white lion walk beside you now, not as a protector you worship, but as the version of you that's ready to lead, eyes wide open, heart no longer hidden. By now, you've probably realized this transformation isn't just happening on the inside. It's about to echo into your daily life in ways you can feel, touch, and measure. The shifts you've been sensing? They're not abstract. They're real. And they're about to show up in your job, your money, your relationships, even your physical well-being. That's what rebirth looks like. Not just a mindset shift, but a complete recalibration of how you move through the world. Let's start with work and money, because for many of you, that's where the tension has been bubbling for a while. If you've been dragging yourself into a job that doesn't inspire you, you're not alone. So many people stay because it's safe, but at what cost? If you've been saying, "I'll quit when I'm ready," take an honest look. Is your soul ready now, and your fear just hasn't caught up? The energy of the 19th is a crossroads. But not the dramatic, leave it all behind today, kind. It's more like a pause where the universe gently places a question in your hands. Are you living in alignment with what you value? If the answer is no, then maybe the discomfort isn't something to fix, it's something to follow. Because discomfort is often the beginning of realignment. And alignment is where opportunity lives. This is also a powerful time to activate anything you've been sitting on. An idea for a creative business. A skill you haven't monetized yet. Something that uses your voice, your vision, or your story. Whether it's writing, teaching, healing, or simply sharing your truth, start small. Start soft. But start. Don't let perfection delay your potential. And if finances have been tight, instead of spiraling into fear, try asking yourself this: where am I still pouring energy into what doesn't pour back into me? That's often the hidden leak. Sometimes, it's not just about making more, it's about redirecting what you already have toward what actually grows you. Now let's talk about love. Because when your energy shifts, your relationships inevitably follow. Some of you will see the truth surface in a connection. Maybe you've been holding on to hope for someone who's already let go. Maybe someone who once turned away comes back with clarity. Or maybe and this is powerfully clearing space for someone who is fully aligned with your frequency. A soulmate, perhaps. But to make room for that kind of love, the old illusions have to fall away. You can't keep one foot in the past and expect the future to arrive. If something feels off in your connection right now, don't ignore it. And don't panic. Truth is love, even when it hurts at first. Honesty doesn't destroy what's meant for you, it reveals what's real. And your body? It's listening to all of this. Pay attention to your heart space. Not just metaphorically, but literally your chest, your blood pressure, your nervous system. These are often the first places to carry the weight of suppressed emotion. Support your system. Drink warm ginger honey tea in the mornings. It's grounding and opens up blocked energy. Take 5 slow breaths before bed each night, letting your body know it's safe to release. Supplement with magnesium, omega-3s, and dark leafy greens to help your nervous system stay balanced as energy continues shifting. Color therapy can also be helpful. Deep ruby red to remind you of your root, your grounding. Violet for intuition. Bronze or gold to remind you of your worth and radiance. These aren't just pretty suggestions, theory frequencies. Let your environment support the new version of you. And above all, remember this: change doesn't have to be a breakdown. Sometimes, it's simply a decision to stop betraying yourself. You don't have to leap today. But take a step. Say yes to yourself. Let that be your prayer, your practice, and your promise. One honest step at a time. When the dust settles after the 19th, you may look around and realize something has quietly shifted. Not outside of you but within. It's like waking up and realizing you don't belong to the same story anymore. And what's surprising is not that you've changed, but that it feels so natural. Like your soul finally caught up to a truth it's been whispering for years. You won't grieve the old version of you the way you thought you would. Because that version, as much as it got you here, was holding on to too many things out of habit, not out of alignment. You may look back and think, wow, I used to say yes just to avoid tension. I used to stay just because I was afraid to be alone. I used to silence my intuition just to keep the peace. But now? You're starting to understand something deeper. Peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of self-trust. This chapter isn't about dramatic declarations. It's about quiet revolutions. The way you no longer explain yourself to be understood. The way you no longer chase what won't meet you halfway. The way you pause before reacting, because you've started listening to your inner compass, not your conditioning. And yes, it might feel strange at first. You may notice people pulling away, or situations shifting around you. But don't confuse movement with loss. Sometimes the space that opens when something leaves is the same space where the real thing enters. Astrologically, this is a reset. Not because the planets demand it, but because you're finally ready to step into your own gravity. That means no longer staying in jobs, friendships, or dynamics that ask you to perform. It means choosing what feeds your spirit, not just what makes sense on paper. It means honoring what energizes you, and being brave enough to walk away from what drains you, even if no one else understands. And here's the most powerful part: you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop betraying yourself. You just have to make decisions that align with who you are becoming, not who you were taught to be. That alone will reroute your entire life. This moment is less about becoming someone new and more about returning to the version of you that was always underneath the noise. The one that didn't apologize for taking up space. The one that spoke with clarity. The one that trusted the inner pull even when it defied logic. The invitation now is simple: say yes to what expands you. And just as importantly, say no to what no longer resonates. That no might feel shaky at first, but with every boundary you set, you're laying the bricks for a life that feels honest. Not perfect but real. You are not here to repeat old cycles. You're not here to shrink into comfort. You're here to rise even if it's slow, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble. And I promise, each step you take in your truth will be met with doors you didn't know existed. The May 19th feel like a turning point, but it's really just a mirror. A reflection of everything you've already decided in your heart. So now, take a breath. Acknowledge what's ending. And take one brave step into the life that's finally ready to begin. Not because everything is certain but because you are. Dear Leo, if you've made it here, it means something inside you has stayed open even through the storms. You've carried so much with such grace. You've smiled when you were tired, stayed strong when you wanted to fall apart, and kept showing up for life even when it didn't make sense. But you don't have to do that the old way anymore. After the 19th, something will quietly shift. Not because the world changes overnight, but because you finally give yourself permission to stop shrinking. You're not here to be small so others can feel safe. You're here to be honest. To be brave. To be radiant. Even if it's quiet. Even if it's slow. Even if no one claps right away. You don't need permission to be your full self, you never did. And I know, change can be unsettling. But what if this is the part where you finally stop asking for signs and realize, you are the sign? What if the thing you've been waiting for is actually waiting for you to say yes to yourself? So I'll ask you, what are you ready to walk away from, not out of anger, but because it no longer honors who you are becoming? And more importantly, what are you finally ready to walk toward? Let this be your moment to draw a new line, not to cut others out, but to call yourself back in. Into your body. Into your voice. Into your truth. You don't owe anyone a version of you that stays small to keep the peace. You don't have to perform strength to be loved. You just have to return to what's real, what's right, what's yours. If anything in you stirred while listening today, if your heart whispered, "This is for me," then trust it. Comment below and say it out loud: I am ready. I choose myself. I welcome the 19th with an open heart. That simple act tells the universe you're listening. And it listens back. And if this message felt like it spoke directly to a part of you you've been trying to reclaim, don't let the connection end here. Tap like, not just for this video, but as a signal that you're stepping into your next chapter with intention. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so we can continue walking this path together, where soul meets clarity, where growth feels like coming home. Remember, life isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. And the moment you stop waiting for permission is the moment everything begins to shift. So choose the life that honors the light you carry inside. And let's walk into that future together, one choice, one breath, one brave step at a time.